calling me. I hear the voice of my grandmother's song. She says, wake up, wake up. She says, wake up, wake up. Listen, 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 listen. I hear the voice of my grandmother calling me. I hear the voice of my grandmother's song. She says, wake up, wake up. She says, wake up, wake up. Listen, 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 listen. May the waters all run clear. May the mountains be unspoiled. May the air be clean. May the trees grow tall. May the earth be shared by all. I hear the voice of my grandmother calling me. I hear the voice of my grandmother's song. She says, stand in your power, people, stand in your power. Listen, 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 listen. I hear the voice of my grandmother calling me. I hear the voice of my grandmother's song. She says, stand in your power, people, stand in your power. Listen, 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 listen. May the waters all run clear. May the mountains be unspoiled. May the air be clean. May the trees grow tall. May the earth be shared by all. I hear the voice of my grandmother calling me. I hear the voice of my grandmother's song. She says, wake up, wake up. She says, wake up, wake up. Listen, 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 listen. I hear the voice of my grandmother calling me. I hear the voice of my grandmother's song. She says, wake up, wake up. She says, wake up, wake up. Listen, 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 listen. May the waters all run clear. May the mountains be unspoiled. May the air be clean. May the trees grow tall. May the earth be shared by all.
Good morning. On behalf of the VUU Environmental Action Team, I would like to welcome you to our Love the Earth Day service. We will begin with a poem by one of my favorite poets, ASU creative writing professor and recent chancellor of the Academy of American Poets, Alberto Rios. The poem is entitled, We Are of a Tribe. We are of a tribe. We plant seeds in the ground and dreams in the sky, hoping that someday the roots of one will meet the upstretched limbs of the other. It has not happened yet. We share the sky, all of us, the whole world. Together, we are a tribe of eyes that look upward, even as we stand on uncertain ground. The earth beneath us moves, quiet and wild, its boundaries shifting, its muscles wavering. The dream of sky is indifferent to all this, impervious to borders, fences, reservations. The sky is our common home, the place we all live. There we are in the world together. The dream of sky requires no passport. Blue will not be fenced. Blue will not be a crime. Look up. Stay a while. Let your breathing slow. Know that you always have a home here.
I'm Noelle. I've jumped in for Katie today, and helping me sing is Jenny. And also we've got Christy on the piano today. Am I in the right spot? Okay.
That's our. It's all good. Grace and space, we do this work together. And now.
Okay. Those of you here in person and those of you online, please join me in reading. We kindle this flame, symbol of our faith, for the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of love, which calls us to work for justice.
So welcome to Valley Unitarian Universalist. I'm Reverend Sarah Oglesby-Dunegan, she, her. I'm the settled minister here. It is my joy to be with you today. And in this community, we welcome you to come exactly as you are. We don't have any dress code, and we don't have a creed you have to believe in. We invite you to build your own theology based on some basic shared values and a wide range of sources. Reverend Kathleen Rollins has said that throughout history, we have moved to the rhythms of mystery and wonder, prophecy, wisdom, teachings from ancient and modern sources, and nature herself. Now, if I mention one of these categories that you fit in, feel free to give me just a little wave, so we know that some of you grew up UU. Yes, welcome. And some of you grew up with another faith tradition. Yes. And some of you, like me, might have grown up what they call unchurched or without a faith community. Some of you may believe in God as a presence or a guiding energy like love. Some of you may come grounded deeply in science and analytical reason. I know you're out there, okay. Some of you might engage spiritual practices like meditation or prayer. Some of you are looking for new experiences to shape your understanding of yourself and the world and the ultimate. We invite you to bring your pain and your joy, your questions and your truth, your struggles and your gifts. We'll let you decide what pronouns we should use when we address you. Just let us know. No matter where you are at on this life's path, we welcome you, whether you're single or partnered or still figuring it all out. This community is made whole by each of you showing up exactly as you are. And this community is made more vibrant as each of you follows your path and shares your story, growing, deepening, clarifying, questioning, shifting and creating, giving and receiving. So if you're new, we hope you'll come a few times and get to know us. It's a little different every Sunday. Ask questions. Now, some of you ended up here because you were the ones who asked too many questions somewhere else. Yeah? I see you. I see you. If you're visiting for your first or second time and you're willing to stand or wave to us, we'd love to greet you after service. So just take a moment. If this is your first or second time, welcome. If you're online with us today, we hope that you'll join the after-service group in Zoom. There's another button on the Zoom page for you to join and introduce yourself there. You can also, if you're in the chat in YouTube, you can say hello to the other folks who are on YouTube. So let's wave to our online friends now. We can't see them, but they can see us up in this camera. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being with us. We normally have about 30 cameras, 30 folks at home listening to us online, so we're glad to have you that way as well. Normally, we have a welcome circle over there by the tech booth after service, but today we have an Earth Fair led by our environmental action team, and they'll be leading a presentation also later today about VUU's opportunity to go solar. I'm joined on the dais today by EAT members, Johnny Clemens May and Sandy Whitley, so thank you. This Sunday, October 1st, pastoral care will be provided by Carl Anderson in the sanctuary. Raise your hand, Carl, or stand. Thank you. Carl in the purple will be up here by the ramp if you would like to meet with him after service and talk about something that's on your heart and mind. Online, that will also be provided by Janet Cantley. She'll post a little thing about how you can be in touch with her in the Zoom room, and also you can always reach those folks on the email that is listed on the screen. Hey, mostly if you're new, I want you to know how much we appreciate meeting new people, and we understand that this experience may have some moments that are uncomfortable because they're unknown. We're a community that invites diversity and pluralism, and this sometimes brings its own challenges, even for each of us who've already been here. I believe this is sacred work that can be life-changing and affirming precisely because it isn't always easy or comfortable or predictable. So thanks to each of you for being here, newcomers and long-timers, whether you join us once a week, once in a while, online, in person, once upon a time ago, welcome. We are grateful that you're here with us. And now, Noel will introduce us to our songs.
Take two. So this is a well-loved hymn in UU circles. This is by Harry Belafonte, and it's inspired by his visit deep into Africa and Guinea, where he met a storyteller who told him a story of the fire, the sun, the water, the earth, and that the whole of these turns the world around. And he said that there's really no difference between any of us if we take time to understand each other. So the question is, do I know who you are? And do we see each other clearly? If we do, we can turn the world around. I do want to say there is a word, I believe it's some kind of African word, but it's been found to be a slur, a Jamaican slur against a group of people that we love here at UU. So we've taken that word out. Some of you might be disappointed. We've replaced it with awe. So please just sing the word that you see on the screen if you know the song, and we get to that part. Please rise if you are able.
From the fire, living in the fire, go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water, go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain, go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Ooh, so is the
Good morning. My name is Kelsey McIntyre. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the Faith Formation Assistant. I'd like to invite all of the kids to join me up front. And while they're doing that, I'd like to remind everyone who hasn't seen it in Happenings yet that next week after church from 12 to 5, we are going to have a fun get-together at the pool. So don't forget to bring pool stuff if you want to come with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. So you guys have already heard that today we're celebrating Earth Day in October. So I wanted to read you guys a book about how Earth Day first got started. It's called Black Beach, A Community in Oil Spill and the Origin of Earth Day by Shauna and John Smith, and illustrated by Maribel Lechuga. Sam was in her favorite class, drawing a picture of her favorite place, when the principal came in and whispered in her teacher's ear. Sam's teacher frowned as she walked over to the window and stared out at the sea. What did the principal say? What was her teacher looking for? Back home, Sam's parents told her something terrible had happened. Union Oil had caused an oil spill when they were removing a drill from the ocean floor. Oil was now gushing up into the Santa Barbara Channel. Her mother called it a blowout, like a cap had popped off a shaken-up bottle of soda and couldn't be put back on. 3 days later, the thick, dark oil started washing ashore. What would her favorite place look like now? When Sam went down to see, she was anxious. With each step, she could feel the weight of her worry. It was even worse than she feared. The beach was black. The ocean was black. The sparkling waves that used to crash down, whoosh up, and tickle her toes were silent. All she could hear was slop, slop, slop. The whole town looked for ways to help, but no one really knew how. Even though offshore drilling was extremely risky, Union Oil hadn't prepared for a disaster like this. So the people of Santa Barbara did what they could to make things better. Sam's father joined a group of fishermen throwing straw into the sea to sop up the oil. Sam's mother and other volunteers used towels to pick up seabirds stranded on the beach. Their feathers were coated in oil, and they couldn't fly. But Sam felt helpless. All she could do was sit back and watch. At night, the news broadcast scenes from Santa Barbara. Millions of people across the country tuned in. No one had ever seen anything like this before. Oil continued to seep into the ocean. Whenever Sam thought about it, she got sad. But then her sadness turned to anger. What had happened to her favorite place? To the birds and the beach and the blue sea? It wasn't right. Sam was done sitting back and watching. It was time to stand up. She and her friends filled bottles with oil from the beach and mailed them to politicians. If the people in power saw what had happened, then maybe they would work to prevent it from ever happening again. News of the spill continued to grow, and more people started paying attention. Even President Nixon came on a helicopter to see. 7 months after oil burst from the ocean floor, a U.S. Senator named Gaylord Nelson visited Santa Barbara. He'd been an environmental activist for years, but had often struggled to convince other politicians that the planet needed to be protected. When he saw the oil was still floating on the surface of the sea, he knew he had to try and help. Back in Washington, D.C., Senator Nelson hired an eager young team to begin organizing a National Day of Environmental Celebration and Protest. It would be called Earth Day. Their goal was to create a grassroots movement and have local communities share the environmental issues that mattered most to them. If enough people participated, politicians would have to start paying attention to the needs of the planet. Soon, news of the event reached school children and their teachers, and they began to prepare their own activities for Earth Day. When April 22nd, 1970 finally arrived, Sam's school put on a giant Earth Day assembly. Everyone brought a can to recycle and gathered outside to learn about the benefits of beekeeping and the environmental harm caused by the insect-killing chemical DDT. At thousands of schools across the country, children spent the day talking about environmental problems and what could be done to make them better. The more Sam learned, the more powerful she felt. There were so many ways to help. On that first Earth Day, 20 million people took a stand. That's a lot of people. Some came out to celebrate the environment, while others protested and demanded change, and a movement was born. Back at the beach in Santa Barbara, the seabirds and seals slowly returned. It would take years for their habitat to heal. Before the spill, Sam liked to pretend the oil rigs weren't a part of her favorite place. But now, she no longer wanted to look past them. There was still more work to do, and Sam and her friends were just getting started. Thank you all. If you all would rise if you're able and join to make the Bridge of Love, we will sing the children out.
I want to invite you into a time of centering, time to check in with your body and with your spirit, with your neighbor, with what's on your mind and in your heart, whether that might be a place of joy and celebration, or a place of deep concern or worry, or even grief and challenge. We feel these things in different parts of our body that remind us that we have a body that walks on this earth and interacts with all the other things that are here with us in the earth, the other living things and the other features of our planet. So just take a minute to take a deep breath. Some of our families are off traveling for fall break. We send them our love and hope that they have safe travels. Or perhaps they're taking the opportunity for an 85-degree day to stay home and enjoy the beauty of their backyard. During this time, we have the opportunity for you to be part of a ritual, if that helps you to move what's in your body through. It might be lighting a candle that represents a prayer or a celebration or a grief. We have that over here behind the pianist, and we have a fountain of water that represents the living water of this community. You can add a drop to represent your own tears, your own self, whatever you'd like those waters to hold. And over here to my left, we have some sand and stones, and you can connect with the earth, touch the sand, grab a stone. You can leave it there, or if you need something in your pocket today, you can put it in your pocket, hold it for a little while. So I invite you, if there's something that's holding you, whether it's beautiful or hard, that you might take a moment now to hold that, and if you need to do a ritual, to do that. Will be held by music that you can join in on or just sit and listen to. Just notice what's in your body and what you need to do.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands. How do you do? They're only saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, yeah.
I wrote the following poem after attending a VU adult faith formation class on our relationship to nature, which was led by Reverend Sarah this last spring. There are two references in the poem that I thought I might need to explain, you might not know. First, Amaterasu is the Japanese goddess of the sun. And secondly, later in the poem, I refer to a pretty famous line by Emily Dickinson, "Hope is the thing with feathers." So, my poem is called Ode to Mother Earth. A mime, I mirror the sunflower outside the window, stand tall to reach the light. By the bright moon, I become nocturnal, and my only wish to howl aloud. Can you hear the wind rustling in the pines? I become restless, just as trees seem. Deer, feeding in the meadow, stare, meditative, for long minutes. I, too, contemplate. Each falling summer shower opens the petals of my heart. As lichen live for moisture from the skies to give them renewed life. Like the lichen, I am grateful for the goodness of falling raindrops on face and hands, but oh, how I dread the coming of internal clouds that bring no rain, only dark. I desire to dance, but gloom, a boulder at times, resides in my mind's cave. Joy eludes me as I consider this flaming, flooding globe. What have we done? Kindly Amaterasu, you who also emerged from a black cavern, please provide us guidance. Look, see the crusted loveliness of lichen, alive in drought and dark, she replies. Mood lifted by her words, I spin and leap beneath the day star. Nights too, lighted by the Milky Way, each sparkling star and glowing planet empower me. We are one. All the billions of galaxies, iridescent, pointing to interconnection and circularity, for which we must rejoice. Quixotic, you may call me, but look at the arm-linked grandeur of all this. Real with Whitman and Dickinson, our ancestors in verse who sing of green and banks of noon and lift us into metaphoric light to remind us of the thing with feathers and implore us to look underneath our boot soles for ongoing life that brings not victory, but solace to all of us when midnight begets worries and sorrows so weighty we may not want to exist on this, our damaged planet home. But we must be lichen-like and know also that we can soar like radiant jays or perched on pines, zero in on offerings of berries, seeds, and pine nuts, nourished by earth's gifts born of sun, water, and soil. May we let gratitude guide us to love, to preserve this beloved benefactor.
want to begin with an origin story that is called Sky Woman. This particular version was put together by Shelley Nero of the Kunyan Kehaka, Keller George of the Oneida Haudenosaunee, and Alan Brandt of the Taina Denaga. For the Haudenosaunee, the earth was created through the interplay of elements from the sky and waters. The different Iroquoian-speaking peoples tell slightly different versions of the creation story, which begins with Sky Woman falling from the sky. Long before the world was created, there was an island in the sky inhabited by sky people. And one day, a pregnant Sky Woman drops through a hole created by an uprooted tree and begins to fall for what seems like eternity. Coming out of darkness, she eventually sees oceans. The animals from this world congregate, trying to understand what they see in the sky. A flock of birds is sent to help her. The birds catch her and gently guide her down onto the back of Great Turtle. The water animals like otter and beaver have prepared a place for her on Turtle's back. They bring mud from the bottom of the ocean and place it on Turtle's back until solid earth begins to form and increase in size. Turtle's back becomes Sky Woman's home, and the plants she's brought down from her sky world, including tobacco and strawberries, are her medicine. She makes a life for herself and becomes the mother of the Haudenosaunee way, as we know it today. Each of us lives in relationship with the planet we live on and all of its creatures and features, connected by interlocking communal relationships. And while it's easy to invite ourselves to love the earth, this is not a monolithic relationship, even at the individual level. Inside of this relationship, humans are simultaneously protectors and destroyers, lovers and enemies. And that we, it's complicated. It's an entanglement of different ideas about these relationships and different ways of living them out on this planet. So maybe you would like to have an intentional and intimate relationship with this planet, one in which you are attentive and thoughtful, generous, grateful, nourishing, even passionate. The complexity is too large to say that we have that with our planet as a whole. We can only have that encounter in the spaces we live in and tend to, the life that we encounter. And we can have a sense of awe for the totality, the complexity. And even as I am able to know about and begin to feel the depth of tragedy and beauty held on this planet, I simply can't know or feel all of what has happened and is happening. No matter how attentive any one of us may be individually, on our own, we can't ever personally make up for the trauma this planet and everything on it is regularly experiencing from our corporate communal lives. Amen. It's not possible. But likewise, the great beauty and diversity of life expands beyond the border of our knowing and feeling, beyond our finite and brief experiences on this planet. So to love in these conditions is to stretch, and stretch that word into something that includes awe and humility, culpability, reciprocity, and responsibility, to be subject to and enveloped in. So perhaps if we take a moment to imagine this, the earth, or as we might call Earth, Gaia, is an organism in the universe, a living, breathing being. Pronouns they, them, I might suggest. They have a circulatory system of water, a respiratory system, major organs as particular parts of Gaia support life in deep ways across the planet. You and your family have a relationship with Gaia, a history and a set of expectations for how you will meet your perceived needs and how you will survive. A present relationship of how you currently exist in relationship to the earth and its other people, places, fauna, and flora. A potential future relationship based on this history and this current reality. Hey, your neighborhood has a relationship with Gaia. Your neighborhood and its houses and their size and age and the materials that they were made of, its cars and bikes and the space that they've been allotted, its yards, its green spaces or lack thereof, parking lots. Its decisions about landscaping and public transportation access and bike lanes and places to walk all create a shared relationship, which you may or may not think about or notice, but which nonetheless have orientations to the needs of other people and plants and animals and air, natural resources, right? And of course, we can just keep going. Your city, your state, your region, your country, all of these superimpose relationships between us and Gaia. And what are those orientations? What kinds of relationships are developing? How is power held in those relationships? So what does love mean when we're faced with this level of complexity, this multiplicity of roles and needs and activities? Is this a reciprocal relationship? Or is this a one-sided relationship? Are we receiving more than we are giving? Is our relationship with the planet we live on, in fact, what we might call codependent, in which we expect the earth to provide for us without contributing back in the necessary ways? Or is it interdependent with a healthy give and take, a sense of shared caring and contribution? Will we always receive more than we can give? Resoundingly, I would say yes. Yes. In which case there is some debt owed, right? Some kind of I owe you. Now, does loving the sunset or the flowers or the moon or the mountains or the water that flows from river to ocean, does that make up for the mining and the fracking and the deforestation and the overpopulation, the overuse of fossil fuels and poisoning of our water and air? Does our awe for the beauty and power of Gaia, or our ability to harness and extract their resources to create the neighborhoods and cities we live in, make up for the human and other life costs of hunger and life-threatening climate change, the inability for some of us to survive or thrive? I think most of us, if we're being honest, struggle to answer this because we fundamentally have not developed a deep capacity to see ourselves as culpable beyond our own choices and to understand how we participate in collective choices. Many of us can't quite extricate ourselves from the transactional, the reality that we have been treating all of the creatures and features of this planet, sometimes ourselves included, as commodities that we can benefit from individually at a cost we often simply choose not to calculate. So perhaps we can remember that some of the struggles we face today in the destruction of our planet and its resources are actually the result of some folks making decisions generations ago, that they actually knew would impact future generations. They had some insight that would happen, but they didn't have a commitment to that future. They couldn't quite put themselves into the future and think ahead to our present in a way that would have them invest their resources and their energy differently. We might be different people if we choose. And I wonder, is paradise a place or an experience? Is it in our past, or is it in our future, or is it right here in front of us? Now, Universalists believe that we are all saved and we all have access to paradise. It's an experience. But it's more complicated, right? Because my salvation and your salvation are tied up together, and the salvation of this planet is in fact linked to our ability to walk with one another and act on each other's behalf, to see ourselves as interconnected, interdependent. Paula Cole Jones says, "No one is expendable. Everyone matters." For people of color, environmental justice is about cultural, spiritual, and physical well-being. In some cases, it's a matter of survival. And in fact, she reminds us that our Universalist heritage has caused our religious tradition to emphasize salvation as resting in actions of love and healing, care, and justice in this life. So in order to have access to this so-called paradise, UU theology asks us to face the ways we are all implicated in the systems of exploitation, oppression, and destruction. In her book, Braiding Sweetgrass, which is one of the ones that we read in the class that Johnny referenced, Robin Kimmerer weaves for us a set of possibilities that come from her own background and training, both as a scientist, a botanist, and her own indigenous roots, her culture. She is from the Potawatomi, as well as the possibility of healing through stories. She says this is a braid of stories meant to heal our relationship with the world. It is an intertwining of science and spirit and story, old stories and new ones that can be medicine for our broken relationship with the earth, a pharmacopoeia of healing stories that allow us to imagine a different relationship in which people and land are good medicine for each other, interdependent. How can we be good medicine for the earth? What stories will be the good medicine we need to reorient ourselves in this relationship with our planet? Now, Kimmerer references that story I told earlier, the story of Sky Woman, who arrives on Turtle Island pregnant. And she says that Sky Woman comes knowing her grandchildren would inherit the world she left behind. She did not work for flourishing in her own time only. It was through her actions of reciprocity, the give and take with the land, that the original immigrant became indigenous. For all of us, Kimmerer says, becoming indigenous to a place means living as if your children's future mattered, to take care of the land as if our lives, both material and spiritual, depended on it. She asks us if we can to understand the Sky Woman story not as an artifact of the past, but as instructions for the future. So what do we have to learn from the earth teachers that we encounter, from the plants and animals and places we live with? What do the saguaro and the coyote and the desert have to tell us? The plants that bloom and survive the hot summers. What can we learn from the monsoons and from the cactus wren, from the hummingbird, and even the scorpion? Kimmerer tells us about the wisdom of pecan trees. trees discovered by her ancestors as they were violently removed from multiple places and forced to make new homes where trees and plants were unfamiliar and yet somehow recognizable by their offerings. She says that nuts are like the panfish of the forest, full of protein and especially fat. She calls that the poor man's meat. And she notes that nuts can be shelled, roasted, broiled, and made into spreadable butters. They are high in calories and vitamins, everything you need to sustain life. And her ancestors would carry them everywhere. They'd stick them in pockets and bags and make sure that everywhere they went, they had some. And they marked their journeys in trees that they planted along river sites where new homes were made over time. And she explains the wisdom of these trees. They don't make a crop every year, but at seemingly unpredictable intervals, a cycle that we call massed fruiting. Nuts are designed to be a food for winter when you need protein. They have heavy calories that keep you warm. Their safety for hard times, the embryo of survival. Nuts are designed to be brought inside to save for later, like a chipmunk's cache or in the root cellar of an Oklahoma cabin. Now, when they fruit, these trees make a huge amount of nuts all at once, a celebration of sorts that is expensive to the tree and therefore not something that they can manage every year. Kimmerer explains that massed fruiting trees spend years making sugar, and rather than spending it little by little, she says, they stick it under the proverbial mattress, banking calories as starch in their roots. She calls it a boom and bust cycle that some forest ecologists hypothesize is the simple outcome of this energetic equation. Make fruit when you can afford it. And interestingly, these trees fruit in tandem, not just with the trees in their grove, but every grove all across the county and across the state. The trees act not as individuals, but somehow as a collective. Now, we don't fully understand why yet, but we're beginning to learn about their communications through pheromones that travel in the breeze, with warnings of insect attacks and fungal networks of mycorrhizae that deliver nutrients in times of distress from trees that have an abundance to trees that are in need. So scattered below the soil, between trees where we can't see, there's this network of communication happening. And above, between the branches and in the breeze, another network happening. The lesson or message seems to be that what happens to one happens to us all. All flourishing is mutual. And Kimmerer warns that we make a grave error if we try to separate individual well-being from the health of the whole. Reciprocity is the underlying and governing value. Interdependence is another word for this. How then are we to practice reciprocity, not just with other humans, but also with the life that is living here with us, plants and animals, resources that support life like water and air? How do we understand reciprocity and our responsibility to listen for the shared needs, the shared opportunities between our own lives and the life all around us? How are we connected, or might we become connected, to share abundance and protection? See how we ask a lot of questions here? Today, your environmental action team is inviting you to join them in their work and to contribute your own resources, ideas, energy, passion to how we might together address the needs of Gaia, the planet which is at once our home, our mother and grandmother, our sustenance, our teacher, our partner, our progeny, the gift that we receive, and the recipient of our generosity. And I invite you to consider how we can connect with the many other organizations, and communities who are also engaged in the work and with whom you might engage this value of reciprocity and interdependence. Learning to share resources and communicate needs, just like those trees, so that we can be fruitful together as the pecan trees do, is one way that we can protect the future of our children's children. May it be so. Blessed be.
Our offering words today are from Jessica Lynn. We make it possible. I come on Sunday feeling weary, having worn out the snooze button on my alarm clock. I come on Sunday feeling frightened, having seared my eyes reading the latest news. I come on Sunday feeling burdened, having fretted about my workday worries. But I leave Sunday service feeling refreshed, having been renewed by the spirit of love in the community that exists here. I leave Sunday service feeling whole, feeling lifted up by the words of righteous challenge. I leave Sunday service feeling energized, ready to continue our fight for peace and justice. This haven, this refuge, this place of worship and wonder exists because we make it so with our contributions, the gifts of our time, our skills, our food, our love, our laughter, and our money. Please join me in giving so that we may continue to have a place that fortifies and challenges us in these trying and troubled times. You can see methods to give an offering on the screen.
Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country roads. All my memories gather round her, miner's lady, stranger to blue water, dark and dusty, painted on the sky, misty taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eye, take me home, country roads, to the place I belong. I hear a voice in the morning, now she calls me. Radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday, country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, take me home. Country roads.
Our closing words today are a poem reading by Joy Harjo. She is an American poet, musician, playwright, and author. She serves as the 23rd United States Poet Laureate and the first Native American to hold that honor. She was also only the second Poet Laureate consultant in poetry to have served 3 terms. She is of the Muskogee Creek Nation. The title is Remember. Remember the sky you were born under. Know each of the stars' stories.
Remember the moon. Know who she is.
Remember the sun's birth at dawn. That is the strongest point of time.
Remember sundown and the giving away to night.
Remember your birth, how your mother struggled to give you form and breath. You are evidence of her life and her mother's and hers.
Remember your father. He is your life also.
Remember the earth whose skin you are, red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth. We are earth.
Remember the plants, trees, animal life, who all have their tribes, their families, their histories too. Talk to them, listen to them. They are alive poems.
Remember the wind. Remember her voice. She knows the origin of the universe.
Remember, you are all people, and all people are you.
Remember, you are this universe, and the universe is you.
Remember, all is in motion, is growing, is you.
Remember, language comes from this.
Remember the dance language is, that life is.
Remember. Before we extinguish the chalice, I'd like to invite up the rest of the environmental action team.
We have one more song.
Oh, sorry.
You're fine. Go ahead, Noel. We're going to sing first. Okay. We'll sing another VUU favorite. Please rise if you are able. Blue Boat Home.
Still my dry land heart can
It would have been so not good to skip our favorite song. Sorry about my jumping the gun. So before we extinguish the chalice, again, I'd like to invite up the rest of the environmental action team if they're available to come up. Some are getting things ready out on the patio, I know. We've tried to be creative today and given you a taste of what we have been doing and working on and what we will be working on. Though we extinguish the chalice, our connection to each other
and this
community remains. May its light guide us this week as we walk the path of justice, speak words of love, and fill our world with compassion until we meet again.
And before you take off, know that we will be having a presentation up here in just a little bit about going solar that Bill will lead with the rest of this team. And I believe they have many other things to share with you today. So please find ways to engage with their work and to stay and ask questions and eat pizza. That's right, I forgot the food. And eat pizza. Because that's how everything should end. And eat pizza. All right. Have a great week, everyone. Oh, and we have one last little video here if you want to watch it that invites us to think about through our granddaughter's eyes. But carry on. You can watch it or talk.
Running out of breath because we're cutting down the pines. Running out of water, so we're cutting in the lines. 7.78 billion and the 9 human beings watching the land sink while the water rises. Who said we need to protect our granddaughters' lives? I'll be damned if I face life through my daughter's eyes. I'd rather play blind, feed the cattle, slaughter lives, live more comfortable now. Who wants to sacrifice? I don't mind if you sit on my grave when I die, but for now, I'ma turn my head to the facts of life. Like the 5 million tons of waste per day that I devise, and everything that I consume that changes others' lives. From child slavery used to make all my chocolate bars to the loss of oxygen and life in our rainforest. Let me live in luxury now, don't mind if it creates wars, as long as I'm not alive when I'm blamed for it.
I know that I might not do everything right, but I'll try my best to live a meaningful life. It's on my shoulders and I need to decide that I'll see this planet through my granddaughter's eyes.
It's like we're playing Russian roulette with each generation. Who's gonna take the bullet is the question. Or maybe we'll sublet the earth back to Mother Nature when it's all trashed up and go live on a space station.
Grandpa, wait, do you really believe that we're headed in a direction that we'll all have to leave?
These were the words that came out of her mouth. I gasped, grabbed a piece of paper, started doing the math. 50 years from now, 10 billion human beings. Divide that by declining oxygen and no more trees. Add the methane and CO2 she won't be able to breathe. With only 0.1% of water on Earth left to drink, not to mention every year a global pandemic which brings the population back down 4 billion. All these tragedies, results of how I've been living while she watches me with big eyes waiting for a decision.
I feel things changing, I've got tears in my eyes. It's not too late for me to swallow my pride. It's on my shoulders and I need to decide that I'll see this planet through my granddaughter's eyes. And there's hope, and we can start to choose a better road. And you can make a difference if you do what you know. It's not too late and we can keep it alive if we see this planet through our grandchildren's eyes.
So today's the day I try to stop using plastic bags. Tomorrow write a letter to my mayor for her plans to increase public transport on our roads. Then I'ma save up to put some solar panels on our home. Change my diet a little, a few more times a week. A couple more Impossible patties, a few less meat. Wash my clothes in cold water, make a big sign for recycling. And switch to LED when these bulbs die. Then start planting seeds and growing little herbs. Take a half day off at City Hall so our voices heard. Change up my shower head, save on that water. Wait, I can finally hear the heartbeat of my granddaughter. I always thought small things couldn't make a difference, that we were always left to the mercy of the politicians. But now I realized a small change in my living can be a part of the comeback in the 9th inning.
And now I know know that I still have it inside to make small changes to help keep up the fight. If we could live to see our future in 3009, then we would start now while we still got time to keep it alive. There's still hope.
We can make a difference to it for our children, let the future generations see.
And we know
every step we take, we listen to our hearts, cause it's more than just you and me.
that the world
There's a circle of living, what you give into the earth is what you receive.
is our hope.
So we look into the eyes of our children, give them faith so they can believe. Yeah, can we look into the eyes of our children, give them faith so they can believe. Yeah, can we look into the eyes of our children, give them faith so they can believe.
I know that I might not do everything right, but I'll try my best to live a meaningful life. It's on my shoulders and I need to decide that I'll see this planet through my granddaughter's eyes.